Look, so you want to start making money with vending machines and you want to get into the vending machine business, but there isn't any sort of content that goes into the depth or is relevant enough in the UK market. Now, in this video, I'm not only going to show you how to start a vending machine business, but all the steps that you need to take to avoid making mistakes that are going to cost you hundreds or maybe thousands, or I would even say tens of thousands of pounds. Because this vending machine game, if you get it wrong, it can be very, very costly. So let's jump straight into the video, right? And before we actually go into what the business looks like and how you can get started and everything, we need to understand vending as a whole, right? So we need to understand the need for vending machines in the first place, right? And what is the actual need for vending machines? Now, the biggest reason that someone will buy from your vending machine is for two big things: convenience, so they don't have to walk 20 minutes to go and buy a snack or a drink, or desperation. They're really thirsty, they don't have the time, which also plays into the first point I said, but they're really desperate, they're really thirsty, they're really hungry, they might have forgotten their packed lunch or whatever they bring into work, and they want to buy something to eat. So those are the sort of main two reasons why vending machines even exist in the first place, right? Now, in terms of how these machines have advanced, every year, honestly, I've been in the vending machine game for 5.5 years now, and every single year there is more and more machines coming out with different technologies, with touch screens, with all sorts of gadgets, cotton candy vending machines, ice cream vending machines, food vending machines, machines that work, with weights and scales. There's all sorts of things out there, right? So machines have advanced and will advance far, far much quicker than you can adapt to anything, right? So you have to be able to keep up with how machines are advancing. Now, how did vending even start in the first place? Vending, funnily enough, started in ancient Greece. Now, a lot of things did start in ancient Greece, or partook in ancient Greece, but especially vending machines. Essentially, you'd give this guy a coin, and he'd go into the box and give you some wine. That's the sort of main sort of principle, right? There used to be a box where you could put it in, and then it would give you some wine. Um, from there to this day, we've got so many different machines. Obviously, that was hundreds of thousands of years ago. Now we've got touchscreens, we've got all different things. So you have to be able to keep up with technology. You have to update your machines, and you have to know when to do that as well. That is really important. Now, in terms of the vending machine business, why is no one talking about it? Why isn't there any content online? Why is it only the last few months am I even seeing some people making TikToks, where I've been making TikToks for years? Why is it that no one, and I mean no one, speaks about it? And vending machines weren't just a business that happened 3 months ago, 4 months ago. These have been going for years. This is a business that your granddad might have started, or your dad, or your uncle, a long time ago, but no one is talking about it in this day and age. And the reason is because it's a bit of a hush hush business, right? The people that are actively still involved and the people that actually actively have the big contracts and are the big names, they don't want you to find out about it, right? Because they don't want saturation. And I believe that there's a big enough pie for everyone to eat, okay? There's always a unique location that someone else has not thought about where you can go in and, of course, place a vending machine and start making semi passive income. That is the greatest thing, okay? There isn't anything better. And I'm not going to say it's fully passive. I don't want to come across as a guru. And you're going to be sipping some sort of cocktails in the Bahamas and you're going to be making money. No, it doesn't necessarily work like that. And especially when you're a beginner and you're starting up, you're going to need to go restock these machines. You're obviously going to need to take care of them. You're going to need to maintain your relationships with these people. You can only do that by going in person, speaking, actively being and working within the business. Of course, later on down the line, you can take a step away, just like I have, and work on the business rather than within it. Now, essentially, how do you get started? Okay, this is probably the $1 million question. How do you get started? And it isn't that hard because the steps are not very complicated. It's not a very complicated business model, but it's one that you can get very, very easily wrong. Now, step one over here excuse my bad handwriting, is of course getting a location, right? You get a location, that is the bread and butter of the business, because without location you can't get the right machine. Even if you get a location and machine but you're not selling the right products, location is the best thing, because the footfall that you're going to obviously be generating, that's going to be your clientele, your main business, everyone that's going past. So this has to be on point, right? That location, and of course that location has to have at least 100 people in every single day for you to generate, the ballpark average of £300 to £500. Now, the second big thing over here is machine, right? And I'm pretty sure if you're interested in the vending machine business, you've already seen, and you've researched some machines, you've gone on eBay, Facebook, even Gumtree, you've had a look, and there's all different sizes, there's all different shapes, there's all different lengths and prices, right? There's new, there's old, there's refurb, there's card, there's cash, whatever. There's loads of different machines. So it's not just as simple as just finding the location and placing the machine. I mean, in hindsight it is, but if you place the wrong machine, then you won't be able to vend the right products. You see how you need to get all of these three in accordance, and they all need to align together to allow you to obviously have a successful business in the first place. Now, in terms of products, the products are very vital, and listen closely, because if you don't have the right products, you're just never going to make any sales. So you can have a great location, a great machine in there, but if you don't have the right products, no one's ever going to buy them, you're never going to make any sales, and then of course you're not going to make money, right? Now I'm going to give you a very simple example, and there's a lot of these examples that are not as simple as this. So if you go to the gym, we'll just put G over here, before the gym, you like to, this might not be yourself, but naturally speaking, people like a little bit of a pre-drink to get them nice and pumped, especially if they had a long day at work. They might take a Red Bull, a Monster. Nowadays, there's a lot of things that are not as sugary, but I'm just giving them two examples off the top of my head. Maybe some C4, whatever. Once they get into the gym, so they're in here, they're having their workout, they've worked out, so that's your W. Then they're finished, right? So I'm going to put it as F, finished. Once they finished, right? Again, this might not include yourself, but most people that go to the gym, they like to take on board some sort of protein, maybe a protein bar, protein drink. Even if they've worked really hard, some sort of electrolytes. So you can see where essentially where I'm going with this, right? So you get the gist. You're going to put healthy things in this vending machine here that's for the gym. No one's going to buy a Diet Coke or a Fanta or a lemonade or whatever before the gym, right? And no one's going to do that after. No one's going to buy a Mars bar or a Snickers. And that is the thing. You want to be able to put the right products into your machine. And I actually have the right mechanism to do this and take the guessing work away, because you don't want to be doing the guessing work, right? Imagine you go buy £200 or £300 worth of products and no one's buying them, no one's eating them. Yeah, you don't want that to happen. Now, step two, of course, is how do you get locations? And before we go into how you actually get locations, I know this is the $1 million question, but look, if you are even slightly interested in starting and getting into the vending machine business, then go ahead and book a call with myself with the link down below, right? It's literally a 15-20 minute chat in a casual setting just like this, and we can go over and execute a plan together of how I can help you start and scale your vending machine business. So like I said, it's down below. Go check it out. Let's get straight back into the video. So in terms of how do you get locations, there's a few things that you need to look out for, right? But the sort of main thing here is, what do you look out for at a location? And the thing that you need to look out for is these three things here. I want to put them like this. Just move myself over. Footfall. So like I was saying previously, and I previously mentioned it, you need at least 100 people to be going in and out of that building or wherever you want it to be. I mean, the more the merrier, but that's really a minimum, okay? Because out of 100 people, not every person is going to buy. So you want to do your metrics, your conversions, but essentially you want to have at least 100 people. The more the better. Number two, you should be looking out for competition, right? Because if you go place a vending machine and there's maybe a calf, or in the industrial areas, if you guys are familiar with, there's normally a sort of van that pulls up around lunchtime and tells has like a big siren on and goes, yeah, come and get your sausage wraps, come and get your hot food, all of that stuff, right? So if you're going to be in competition with them guys, you need to know their prices, you need to be able to analyze their market, but you also need to understand that if there's competition, how are you going to surpass this competition, right? How are you going to be better than the competitors? And simply, sometimes you just can't match the competition that there is there. Now, for example, a lot of locations will have a calf, but that calf, it will shut at a certain time, and all the customers that will be coming into that calf after the sort of times that it after the time that the calf is shut, they're your customers, right? So 100% look out for competition, analyze it, know where it is, know their prices, go do as much due diligence you can on your competition, but don't be afraid of them. And the number three thing over here is leverage, right? And what do I mean by leverage? I mean a few different things. So you want to leverage your network, people you know. You want to build relationships with people that may be in the building. If you've already got a machine, you want to build relationships with these people. This will allow you to get another machine, another building if they have multiple, etc., etc. Second thing, you want to leverage where you place your machine. So I'm going to put this in as convenience. So I'm going to have that as C over here. So you want to leverage convenience because, like we initially said, the top two things is convenience and desperation. So if you have an office building with people that are really hungry, they're gonna want as much convenience, right? If there's a 30-story sort of building, apartment building, office building, whatever it may be, they don't want to go to the third floor to get a snack and then come back all the way if they're on the 30th floor, right? So you want to plan accordingly. You want to give them as much convenience as possible. Can they just literally walk 30 seconds, be able to purchase from your machine, and be able to have both, obviously, card and cash options for them to purchase? How convenient can you make it? Do you want to make it touchscreen for them so they can literally touch and they feel like, this is like the new big thing that only they have because they haven't seen it before? There's loads of different things to take into account when it comes to leverage, but this one here is number one, and this one here is number two, and you need them together. Now, a bit of a common theme is if you don't have this, then you won't be able to succeed. Alongside, if you don't analyze this well enough, you won't be able to succeed. And if you don't leverage your network and the convenience of where you're placing your machine at the same time, you won't succeed. So another common sort of factor is number one, number two go together, number two and number three go together, and they all add up to give you a competitive advantage and allow you to secure a successful business, location, and of course make money. Now, in terms of what machines do I choose, we can agree that there is so many machines out there, right? They're different lengths, different sizes, card, cash, all of this stuff. There is just loads and loads of machines out there. So how do you actually go about sort of choosing a machine? And I'm not going to sit here and tell you need this exact machine. I have XYZ machine. This is the machine that's for you, because there's so many different variables, price points. There's just so many different things that go into buying a machine. Now, the first thing that you want to think about when you're buying a machine, and let me get my pen back up. So the first thing you want to think about, there we go, about buying a machine is card reader, right? You need to have a card reader. It's 2025. There's people that are not carrying cash at all, okay? And the majority of them do not carry cash. There's hardly anyone that carries coins. I mean, ask yourself the question, when was the last time you carried cash or carried coins? Unfortunately, it's a dying trend. So having a card reader will definitely increase your sales, right? They will just increase. Imagine if you only had coins and no one ever had coins on them. They're just not going to buy anything. So yeah, make sure you have card reader. Like, this is a must, okay? Now, in terms of refurbed or new, it is completely up to you. If you have a bigger balance and you want your machine to go a lot longer, then maybe new is for you. If you don't have that sort of money to play with and you don't mind changing your machine every few years, or stuff going wrong with it, you can go refurb option. Now, I'm not saying either or is the right option. There's not a wrong or a right thing. I have both. I have refurbed machines, I have new machines, I have machines that I've gotten from Facebook and done myself up. There is all different sort of options, and to be fair, this is something that I go in depth in my modules that I cover. in terms of what is the right option for you at that stage. Now, the sort of last sort of thing here in this box, the combo machine. Now, a lot of people don't even know what a combo machine is, right? So let me try to draw one up for you so you can visually see what a combo machine looks like. So started off strong here. Okay, so cool. Imagine this is my vending machine, and then these are the rows. Cool, just like a normal typical vending machine. Obviously your products, they will come out this little flap here. Excuse my drawing. Cool. So essentially what the combo allows you to do, right? It allows you to have snacks. So I'm just going to draw S, and you can also have drinks in one machine. So you don't need two separate or different machines. You can vend both snacks, bottles, cans, crisps, and anything that really will fit in the coils of your machine. You can vend it in here. But essentially, this just allows the consumer to have both options, but it also allows them to, when they wander over to that machine, they might not be feeling peckish, but they might want to drink. So you're allowed to give them both options here, and vice versa. But additionally, something that I've always found as well is they might buy something savory and then they want to replenish themselves. So they might even buy a snack and a drink there. So you're almost like doubling and bundling up your sales without even realizing. Or they've bought a snack, they're thirsty after a while, they come back and they buy a drink. So you're giving them the option for both, and this is why I would recommend combo over, just the regular sort of snacks or the only drinks machines. Now, I'm going to make myself big here because I know people are going to start getting onto me in the comments and stuff, but there is special circumstances where you want to only have the snack drink or just the drinks machine by itself, okay? There is circumstances where you just want to have that, and it will actually be better than having a combo machine. Okay, cool. So that is what you sort of need to factor when you're picking your machine. In terms of products, right? Because this is important as well. Remember the sort of three things that we mentioned up here. So location, we've spoken about this. We've spoken about how and what you need to have in your location. So I'm going to tick that off. We've spoken about your machine. We've spoken about your machine. So what you need to have in terms of what you need to look out for your machine. So we've spoken about that. We haven't spoken about products, right? So what about products? I'm going to tick that off because we're about to get straight into it. So products, right? What do you need? What do you need? Now, you're always going to have your basics. Whatever the weather sort of thing, you're always going to have your basics, right? Now, your basics are going to be your water. They're going to be your crisps. They're going to be some of your cans. Obviously, depending where you're placing, you're going to have your basic items. Now, when it comes to products, where are you going to get them from? There's all sort of different places. You can go Costco, local wholesaler. You can go to Vending specific wholesalers. You can order online. There's all sorts of different options in terms of actually purchasing the product. What I would recommend to you as a beginner, just go into Costco. It's a lot easier. You can familiarize yourself with products. You can have a look at obviously how they look, how they might fit. You can buy, trial in your vending machine, and then also if you don't want them, you can also return. But Costco's everywhere. It's a cheap sort of method. You don't need a business, which is the biggest sort of point. And then you just go in there, you just scout for your products. Obviously, get what you want, go in and pop them into your machine. But in terms of what I mentioned earlier, if you don't have the right products, then you're not gonna make the money that you need to, right? Now, I'm gonna be honest, I'm not willing to give this one away for free, but there is a special mechanism that we have in here, and I'm gonna put it in as M, and I'm gonna put it in a big box because it is really special and it allows you to see and vend the right products. Additionally, on top of this, we have an app. So I'm going to put this into A over here. That this allows you, okay, and you know what? I'm actually going to put some green in there because this app is so cool, right? I'm just going to mess it about with some green. Cool. So this app here, it allows you to see all the products that are vended, how much money you've made, weekly, monthly, yearly. If you've got multiple machines, you can hook it up and you can see all your machines at once. You can literally just scroll on your phone and obviously refresh and have it at live sort of view. You don't need to have be attached to your laptop and have a desktop and all of that sort of stuff. But the biggest thing that this allows you to do, it allows you to see what products have been vended, but it also allows you to see what products you need to restock. And why is this important? Because once you start taking this business seriously and you start scaling the business, right, you will not want to be taking and carrying and lugging about loads of different cases of loads of different things that you actually turn up to your machine and you don't even need in the first place. So this allows you to sort of cut down on any inefficiencies in terms of the products that you're buying, but also the products that you're going to have to be lugging back and forwards, especially in the beginning where you're doing everything yourself. So you know exactly and accurately what you need, when do you need it, and how much you're selling of it. So you can see your best sellers, you can get analytics. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, this goes in so much depth, right, that you can actually see if your machine restarts for whatever reason, you can actually see and it will ping you over a message. So then you'll start panicking because you're like, why has my machine just restarted, right? But essentially it goes into that much detail. Now look, if you found this video useful, and I guarantee you there's definitely a few gems in here, then look, go ahead and book a call below. If you're serious and you're thinking about starting a business and you're not too sure how to secure your locations, you're not sure if the locations are going to be good, you're not sure of the products, maybe you've got a vending machine already but you don't have a location in place, which is a big mistake. I've covered that loads of times, so I'm not covering that again. But like I said, go book in a call, okay? We'll have a little chat. If this is the right fit for you, we'll proceed and we'll go from there, all right? Cool. Thank you for watching this video. It's been a longer one, but it's been a little bit more in depth and a lot more detail in this. So if you like this sort of content, like it up, comment, and I'll look to do some longer videos just like this. Catch you in the next one.